3 years ago, I was the dumbest person in every room I entered. My IQ scores were embarrassing. I fought against problems that others resolved in a split second. I believed I just wasn't clever enough. Then I learned one brain hack that rewired my mind. One easy habit that changed me from average to unstoppable. In 90 days, I tripled my mind power. And you can too. Welcome to the ultimate series of psychological power. In this playlist, we dive deep into the hidden corners of the human mind, revealing the dark hacks, mindset shifts, and manipulation tactics used by the world's most influential people. This isn't about tricks or gimmicks. It's about learning how control, persuasion, and dominance really work beneath the surface. Most people are easy to control if you know how. By the end of this video, you'll learn exactly how to do it. Let me take you back to that moment of utter humiliation. I was sitting at a board meeting with Harvard and MIT graduates, and I couldn't even keep up with their discussion. They were making connections I couldn't even see, making intellectual leaps that seemed beyond my capabilities. I came home that evening and took 3 different IQ tests on the internet. The scores: 102, 98, 105, pretty much average, painfully, mediocrely average. That's when I made a choice that altered my life forever. I became fixated on that one question. What do the world's greatest thinkers do differently? It wasn't how much they knew. It was the way they thought. I read biographies, broke open neuroscience articles, interviewed chess grandmasters and tech moguls, and then I discovered it. One forbidden pattern all geniuses employ, lying in plain sight. It wasn't how much harder they worked or how much more they memorized. It was about embracing something most people flee from: productive confusion. This is the hack that rewired my brain and tripled my intelligence. Deliberate confusion. I know what you're probably thinking. Confusion? That's supposed to be bad, right? You've been taught your whole life to avoid confusion. Teachers, parents, even bosses have drilled it into your head. If you don't understand something, back off. Slow down. Get help. But here's the forbidden truth. Confusion is the secret doorway to accelerated intelligence. Your brain has 2 modes: comfort mode and growth mode. In comfort mode, everything feels easy and safe. You're coasting along, taking in information you already know, reaffirming what you already know. It's nice, but it doesn't make you any brighter. Comfort mode is an echo chamber in your mind. Growth mode, by contrast, is like turmoil. It's that queasy feeling in your stomach when you're hit with something that doesn't fit into your pre-existing knowledge. When you're lost, your brain goes into a state of hyper-alertness. It's like an intellectual workout on steroids. Your neurons are firing like wild men, looking for patterns, establishing new connections, forming bridges between concepts you never even knew were associated. That's where true learning occurs. That's when you level up. I learned this by accident at first. I was learning something I didn't entirely understand. Neuroscience, ironically enough, and was totally in over my head. Rather than stepping back like I usually do, I dove into the confusion. I plopped myself down on the couch and satanically sat with it, wrestled with the contradictions and questions. The outcome: I had an aha moment where suddenly all clicked and it felt like my brain had expanded. That day turned my life around. I wanted to recreate it over and over and over. So I built an intentional confusion strategy, a 3-step daily routine that turned confusion from something intimidating into something powerful. Each and every morning, I took 30 minutes to jump into material that was just slightly above my current level of comprehension. Not so challenging that I'd feel discouraged, but challenging enough that I had to stretch. For instance, if I was learning advanced mathematics, I'd choose a portion from a book that had equations I'd never seen before. If it was philosophy, I'd study a chapter that broke my worldview. The point was intentional discomfort. I wanted my brain to experience that friction, like raising a weight that was just a little bit too heavy. That's when the neurons begin firing, reaching, linking. If you're beginning this on your own, shoot for material that's about 20% tougher than what you're comfortable with. You'll know you've reached the sweet spot when your brow creases and your mind feels like it's stretching. Most people reach confusion and stop. They become frustrated. They put down the book. They walk away. But that's where the magic occurs. At the tip of frustration, rather than running from it, I embraced it. I'd write down every question that entered my head, no matter how small, silly, or obvious it felt. Why does this work? What's the principle? What do I assume? How does this differ from what I already know? This is what I term the question cascade, because every question always spawns another, like a cascade of a waterfall. The more questions you come up with, the richer your understanding becomes. Tip: Have a special notebook or digital note app for questions only. Check it weekly. Frequently, the questions you couldn't answer at the time will clarify later when your brain makes new connections. And at the end of every day, I'd spend 15 minutes connecting the dots. This is the step that most people omit, and it's where cluelessness turns to mastery. Here's how I did it. I'd glance at the questions in the morning and select one that still seemed tough. Then I'd ask myself, how does this relate to 3 things I already know? For instance, if I was learning advanced physics, I might connect a new theory about quantum mechanics to a metaphor I learned in chess strategy, a psychology concept about uncertainty, and an application in the real world, such as semiconductor design. This process of building connections causes your brain to combine new information with past knowledge, the quickest method to increase neural pathways. When you make these connections, your brain rewires itself. Synapses get stronger, neurons bridge the gaps. That's neuroplasticity at work. Most people shy away from confusion because it hurts. They believe confusion means they're not intelligent enough, and that's a lie. Confusion is your brain's signal that it's meeting something new and difficult. That's precisely where growth occurs. Neuroscientists such as Dr. Michael Mazinik have demonstrated that confusion sparks neuroplastic change, the brain's capacity to rewire itself physically in response to new information. It's like working out for your brain. If you're not sweating, you're not increasing. Think about lifting weights that are too light. You may feel good, but you're not developing muscle. But the instant you pick up a weight that's slightly too heavy, something that causes your arms to shake, that's when growth occurs. Your brain operates similarly. By intentionally causing confusion, you challenge your mind to adjust, to rewire, to get stronger. You're not merely acquiring new facts, you're improving your thinking machinery. Each time you fight through confusion, you're conditioning your mind to handle complexity, to recognize patterns others miss, to make connections no one else sees. That's how you improve faster than anyone else. On-purpose confusion is more than a hack. It's a philosophy. It's a choice to live at the boundary of what you know. It's the difference between being ordinary and becoming unstoppable. If you desire to triple your intelligence, adopt confusion. Mind that seeks confusion is the growing mind. And in a world where comfort is the enemy of greatness, confusion is the key weapon of legend making. Want to dominate your mind for merciless intelligence and dark psychology mastery? Then you require the Whisper Power Bundle, your definitive collection for mental domination. Within this special bundle, you'll receive all my ebooks and audiobooks filled with forbidden knowledge, dark tactics, and psychological secrets they never teach you in school. And here's the best part. I'm including every subsequent release in the bundle for free. That means your knowledge keeps expanding while others are left behind. Ready to level up your mind and join the elite? Check the top comment now and secure your access to the Whisper Power Bundle before it's too late. Because once you see what's inside, there's no turning back. When you stumble upon something that doesn't fit within your current knowledge, when an idea or problem causes you to think, wait, how does that work? Your brain revs up its inner engines. Neurons start talking differently, creating new synaptic paths to attempt to synthesize the chaos. This procedure is the heart of neuroplastic change. Dr. Mazinik's studies on monkeys and humans have proven that when the brain is faced with new difficult tasks, it doesn't merely remember information, it remodels itself literally. Dendrites branch out, axons swelled, and synapses become stronger, forming new neural paths that didn't previously exist. That is, your brain literally changes in response to mental effort. This rewiring is most vigorous when you're in a state of confusion. When your brain is hard at work trying to fit the pieces together, it's as if your mind is being built with new connections being established to close the gaps in your knowledge. Let's be even more precise. When you're confused, a region of your brain known as the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, gets activated. The ACC functions like a conflict monitor, sensing when your expectations conflict with what's real. It's the region of your brain that is saying, hold on, something's not adding up. This stimulates the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and acetylcholine, which tell the brain, pay attention, something important is going on here. These chemicals enhance concentration and learning ability, setting your brain up to adapt. Here's how it works. Confusion is the mental training, the heavy lifting that initiates the growth process. Just as with physical conditioning, you don't get stronger in the process of working out. You get stronger in the time of of recovery when your body rebuilds and heals. The same principle applies to your brain. Confusion is the struggle and understanding is the growth. But that's where most people go wrong. When confusion arises, they panic. They shut down. They tell themselves they're not smart enough or the problem is too difficult. They flee from the discomfort rather than embracing it. That's like dropping the weights halfway through the rep and leaving the gym. You are missing out on the growth opportunity. In fact, that discomfort is a neuroplastic gold mine. It's your brain's message that you're at the precipice of your existing abilities. And that's where the upgrade occurs. Every time you struggle through fog, every time you grapple with a difficult problem, every time you oblige yourself to think just outside your comfort zone, your brain is reshaping itself into something stronger. Let's put this into perspective with a narrative. When I initially began learning sophisticated statistics, I hit a wall. I couldn't comprehend the formulas, the symbols, the logic. I was drowning in a sea of useless numbers. I felt like giving up, but I recalled Dr. Mertzik's work on how confusion is the spark that ignites neuroplasticity. So I leaned in, I remained with the discomfort. I posed questions I didn't have answers for. I let my brain struggle with the chaos. And step by step, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to click. The symbols started making patterns. The patterns translated into understanding. The understanding translated into mastery. And the most amazing thing, each time I went through it, it was easier. My brain was actually rewiring itself to deal with complexity more effectively and quickly. That's the magic of neuroplasticity. Studies indicate that the more you lean into confusion, the more flexible your brain becomes. Neuroplasticity is a muscle. The more you push it, the stronger it becomes. The ACC gets better and more efficient at detecting conflicts and triggering the learning process. The hippocampus consolidates its memory pathways and the prefrontal cortex fine-tunes its problem-solving skills. It's a domino effect. Confusion, conflict detection, neurotransmitter surge, neural rewiring, intelligence upgrade. But keep in mind, it only works if you remain with the confusion long enough. If you give up too quickly, you short-circuit the entire system. That's why most people plateau in their learning. They shun the confusion rather than employing it. The secret is to observe confusion not as threatening, but as a sign that you're on the verge of becoming smarter. It's a signal that your brain is creating new roads of comprehension, roads that previously did not exist. So the next time you're confused, don't flee, smile, because you're at the edge of a mental revolution. Your brain is going to change at a rate faster than anybody who's still in comfort mode. Within 30 days, I began noticing patterns other people were not. It was initially like a whisper. Suddenly, I was paying attention to how some ideas kept surfacing in different contexts. That whisper grew into a roar. I became aware of repeating structures, underlying frameworks, and hidden connections among subjects. Complex problems that once left me feeling overwhelmed were puzzles I could solve. It wasn't that the problems were any simpler. It was that my brain had rewired itself to deal with complexity. I understood the pieces more clearly, and even when I didn't know the answer, I felt sure I could figure it out. My reading comprehension soared. Before, I'd read a paragraph and forget half of it. Now I soaked up information like a sponge. Every word linked to a mental map I was constructing, a network of knowledge that made comprehension reflexive. I could hold more ideas simultaneously. It was as though my working memory had grown, enabling me to keep inconsistent ideas in my head without anxiety. Rather than confusion bringing me down, it became fuel for innovation. At 60 days, I was making meaningful contributions in those daunting board meetings. The individuals who previously belittled me now respected me. I didn't merely regurgitate what others maintained. I questioned, combined, and built on concepts in a way that made them stop and nod. I began to notice connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. A discussion of psychology prompted insights on business strategy. A class in philosophy changed my strategy for relationships. My brain became a cross-pollination machine. My problem-solving ability tripled. What once took hours now took minutes. I could instantly identify the essence of a problem, cutting through distractions and going straight to solutions that counted. At 90 days, I retook those IQ tests, 142, 138, 145. My scores didn't just go up, they exploded. But it wasn't all about the tests. I thought differently. My mind was quicker, snappier, more nimble. My mind had transformed. I was no longer the same individual. I no longer feared confusion. I embraced it as the path to enlargement. Here's your roadmap. Week 1 to 2, groundwork. Choose a subject that's difficult but intriguing. This helps you remain motivated even when it gets challenging. Use 30 minutes a day reading stuff just beyond your present level. That 20% harder than easy, that's where the magic occurs. Welcome confusion. When your mind complains, smile. That's your brain letting you know it's going to upgrade. Write down no less than 5 questions each session. Questions are the sparks that ignite the fire of understanding. Week 3 to 4. Pattern recognition. Begin linking new ideas to what you already know. Apply the "how is this like Abi" method to fill gaps between unfamiliar and familiar. Make mind maps, diagrams, or just plain notes that facilitate your brain to connect ideas across different contexts. Week 5 to 8. Acceleration. Increase complexity in stages. Deal with more difficult subjects or deeper levels of your topic. Attack problems from several perspectives. Pose, how would a different discipline go about this? Teach what you learn, even if it's just explaining it out loud to yourself. Teaching is the ultimate test of understanding. Week 9 to 12. Mastery integration. Pause. Apply your learning to real-world challenges. Don't just study in a vacuum. Put your knowledge to work. Look for breakthrough insights. Notice how small epiphanies build up over time into massive leaps of understanding. Watch your brain seek out productive confusion automatically. Soon, your mind will crave challenges because it knows that's where growth happens. Common mistakes. Picking material that's too difficult. 20% challenge, not 200%. Strive to stretch, not snap. Attempting to grasp everything all at once. Confusion is the process. Allow your mind to struggle. Giving up when it is uncomfortable, that's precisely when the growth begins. Stay with it. Failing to link new ideas to old ones, the connections are where the magic occurs. Knowledge without integration is merely trivia. The compound effect. Each time you master confusion, your entire brain improves. It is like compounding interest for the mind. Challenges that formerly paralyzed you in month 1 become your warm-up by month 3. That's how I tripled my intelligence. Not only my IQ score, but the very manner in which I think, learn, and create. Try this for just 7 days. Choose a subject that challenges you. Spend 30 minutes tomorrow morning on it. Don't speed through understanding. Welcome confusion. That's your brain leveling up. Monitor your progress. Watch your mind evolve. If you're done settling for average, hit that subscribe button. I'm documenting each brain hack I find along this path from normal to unstoppable. Leave a comment. What's the topic you're choosing for your first intentional confusion experiment? Your intelligence is not set. Your potential is endless. The only question is, are you willing to take on the confusion?